I did YouTube consistently for 4 weeks. Here's that experience along with the lessons that I learned that you can take away if you want to do this yourself. Hey, what the dog doing? It's Nicholas, back at it again with another video this week. If you're new to this channel, hey, what's up? Welcome. In this channel we talk about life, art, love, and advice to become a better person and to live a better life. If that's right up your alley, then please consider subscribing, leave a like or a comment if you want to talk to me, and share this to somebody that might enjoy this too. So to catch you up to speed, a couple of videos ago I talked about starting a 4-week YouTube challenge where I wanted to be consistent on YouTube because I haven't been. I haven't actually done a full month where I was uploading one video every week. And guess what? I've been able to do that, and not just that, I've actually not been consistent for 4 weeks. I've been consistent for 5. All of this was possible because of 3 foundational pillars: the why, the when, and the how. The why is the dream, my dream, your dream. Why do you want to do YouTube? Why do you want to make videos? Why do you want to grow online? And think about it like this. Ask yourself if your why is strong enough to overcome any feelings of a lack of motivation at any given day, and all the things that you have in terms of apprehensions that are getting in the way of you pursuing the thing that you want. Next up is the when. It's one thing to have the dream, and it's another to actually make time for it. So I'll pose you the question that I pose myself. If not now, then when? What I've realized with people in general, and not just with myself, but just observing everybody else, is that if you have a strong enough why, if you want something strongly enough, you don't find the time, you make the time. So again, if not now, then when? And lastly is the how. The how is starting because you have a reason to start and you have made the time to do it. Taking advantage of your talents or your unfair advantages and honing in on your skill set, gathering as much of what you need along the way. You might not have something that the person that you're looking up to or your role model has, but they might also at the same time not have the things that you do. We all have things that we can look at and be like, hey, I can't do this because I don't have that. But at the same time, we all have our unfair advantages. You could look at it differently and look at yourself and say, hey, this is what I have, and this is why I can do that. So with that being said, let's talk about the lessons that I learned from this process. Every single video I wanted to learn something new and carry that over to the next. And that's exactly what I did and what I suggest you do too. First, I made a video talking about burnout and routines. It got me thinking of the things that I did that were productive, unproductive, fueling, and draining. And a lot of people responded really well to that video. It was the final thing that pushed me to actually make a video saying that I will be a YouTuber and be consistent for 4 weeks. After making that video, I thought the most fitting theme that I could follow up after that video is actually telling people to start now and start simple. Learn the process and fall in love with it and get better as you go. And after making that video, I actually had a different one to follow up in mind, but then something happened. And this is where adapting with things as they go and rolling with the punches comes in. I had a friend approach me with really helpful constructive criticism, and on the other hand there was another situation with somebody else. It didn't pan out quite nicely, and it reminded me of the ways that I used to be. So that got me into talking about listening to people and knowing what to listen to, as well as accepting that as much as we want to help people, we can't change them, and we don't need to resent that. That video did the worst thus far, and it was honestly pretty discouraging, but at the same time, it is probably one of my favorite videos that has come out of the channel. But because of how discouraging that was, along with actually having some things come up in my personal life that started to drain and exhaust me, I wanted to figure out where I was. And I realized I just had to have fun. And I hadn't embraced my inner child and just have unbridled fun in a very long time. And I needed that. No agenda aside from relaxation and enjoyment. I made a video exactly talking about that and reminding people that, hey, sometimes you just need to have an unproductive day. That takes you through the journey of a couple of things that I struggled with throughout the process, and a lot of the things that I learned and picked up one video after the other. And the interesting thing about all of this is it's surprisingly easier than it seems. One of the ways to make it easy is to just have fun with it. Don't put too much pressure in it. And if you're doing talking head videos like this, treat it like school PowerPoint presentations. Have bullet points instead of full paragraphs where you have to recite it perfectly. Don't put that much pressure on yourself. Easier said than done. It takes some getting used to. But if I can do it, you can do it too. It also helps to do what you like and do what you know. It's better that you don't try to put on a face or a persona that isn't really you. Honestly, it's so much easier. A lot of people have told me that whether they met me first in person or they actually saw my videos first, that it kind of aligns pretty well, and it seamlessly blends between real-life interactions and how the videos are now. That used to not be the case. I used to put on a persona, and honestly, it felt uncomfortable even for me doing it because I was trying to be a heightened version of myself, and honestly, it's not worth it. Here is the process that worked. Pre-production comes with conceptualizing, writing the script over a course of maybe 2 days, finalize within a few hours before recording, and internalize it by just reading it and saying it out loud. And then once I'm done shooting, I create a shot list of B-roll that I might want to add on top. While I'm doing all that, I'm also in the back of my mind coming up with ideas for potential titles and thumbnails. After writing the script and internalizing it and making sure that I'm familiar enough with what I want to talk about that I can improv in front of the camera, I will start shooting. So obviously that includes setting up, but it's pretty easy. The rest of this, the lights in the background and the decor and the chair and the clothes that I'm wearing, this is just me living. I try to make my real life and my creative life work as seamlessly as possible. And if you can do that for you over the course of time working on it, I promise you, things will get a lot more seamless and so much easier. I usually have a device on me, like an iPad or my phone, and I have the script open through my notes app. I just read through a couple of points. I try to get a general idea of what I'm trying to say and pick out specific words that I want to make sure make it in, but I don't put in too much pressure on myself to say exactly what I wrote down. So once I'm done shooting, and that usually takes about 45 minutes on average, I make one day specifically for a rough cut. From there, I refine the cuts, tighten everything up, color code the clips to separate sections of the video and separate topics. After I have the general body of the video that I'll build everything on top of, the first thing that I do is I look for music, add it in the timeline, I note down the places where I might want B-roll. I create bins that just section them off to nature, city, shots of me, stuff like that. I just go with a feeling. After all that B-roll stuff, sound design. The one time I didn't do it, I regretted it. It was the last video before this. I didn't do it because I wanted to see how I would feel about it, because I used to really not do sound design, and I was fine with it at that time. But this time when I did it, I felt empty inside. It's so much more interesting when you can actually place yourself there through what you're hearing and not just what you're seeing. Next up is my favorite part of the process. I color grade the clips. I make sure that they look as pretty as I possibly can make them. This is one of my favorite things to do when I make videos, and I haven't heard this from anybody else that I know in real life, but color grading to me very much resembles the process and the enjoyment that I get out of painting. And I really do feel that creative surge that I did when I was a kid when I was coloring stuff. This time I'm just doing it with videos. I add any additional effects that I want, assets that I need like text and graphics, and any final checks on audio alterations and subtitles happen at that last stage. And just like that, bing bam boom, you made a video just like I would. The biggest struggle that I really had was skirting burnout and also having enough time to make sure that I cooked everything just right. There were points when I felt like I had to crunch and I had to rush because I said that I would finish the video every 7 days. And sometimes life things happen. Sometimes you just feel burnt out because of things that have nothing to do with the videos. Or other times you feel burnt out exactly because of the pressure that you've put on in making the videos. Or maybe, for example, for me, I underestimated the scope of one video, and because I had committed to such a strict deadline, I only ended up feeling worse. So moving forward, I will be making some alterations. I will be expanding my 7-day limit for a new video up to 10. Those additional 3 days should give me enough time to take a break, make sure that I get to refine my videos without burning out, and also allowing myself to have a life. In giving myself a 7-day limit for each video, I have felt like I've had to rush some areas or cut some corners, so this is the hot list of things that I had never ever want to cut corners with again: scripting, sound, color grading, titles, thumbnails, and timing of when I post. At one point or another, I felt like I had to rush one of those things, and whenever I did, I didn't like the result. I want to make sure that I keep myself accountable to be able to make sure that those areas are fully taken care of and those boxes are ticked. Getting back into the zone again and at least making an effort to put in some extra love and care into my shots has been so fulfilling. Oh man, I mean, for the longest time, I had a point where I was more focused on content and efficiency than I was in the artistry and in my love for it that got me started started in the first place. Instead of being deliberate and putting a lot of thought and effort into the frames that I was shooting, I was more focused on just getting B-roll. I just need a shot of that, so I'm gonna do the autopilot thing of just framing it this way, and it turned out fine. The shots looked fine, but it didn't feel fulfilling for me to do things like that. So going back to my artistic roots and putting in the artistry into the shots that I take has been so much fun. So if I'm really talking about the things that I loved, it's really about being deliberate and putting extra thought. I used to do that, but it was coming from a place of perfectionism. It was coming from a place of pressure and honestly anxiety that I wanted to get everything absolutely right. But now I'm coming at it from a completely different direction where I'm just thrilled to actually try, to actually do stuff, put in the craft. I'm putting in the extra effort, not because I feel like I need to, but because I want to, because I'm excited to. What else can we do? How can we get creative with this? And I have missed that feeling so much. And this whole consistency thing has really, really gotten me back into that groove. Another thing that has absolutely made my life, not even just these videos, but my life so much better is my writing. It doesn't matter where I'm writing, whether I'm writing with my favorite pen on my favorite tiny little notebooks, or I'm writing on my laptop, iPad, or on my phone through the Notes app. Just taking that extra time to actually entertain my thoughts, even the small ones that appear in a blip. That hasn't just been fulfilling in the sense that, oh, I have ideas and I'm not running out, which is true, by the way. I haven't run out of ideas in a long time, but also life has felt so much fuller. So it feeds me in both ways. And all of this is just to highlight that I've had so much more fuel than I've had in a long time creatively. And it's because I committed myself to something that I knew I wanted to do, and I put myself in a position to do it. I hope the ways that I've talked about my process, my struggles, and the adjustments that I'm making moving forward have given you a good idea on what this realistically looks like and what you could apply for yourself so that you can start trying or just start bettering your process if you've already started. In any case, I hope that all of this helps you out. Which brings me to you. What do you want? And more importantly, what's it worth to you? Is your fear more powerful? Is your want to see your dream through more powerful than your desire for anything else? These lessons that I've shared with you, the process that I've refined, the vim and vigor that I have now creatively and in life in general, these all came in because I decided to commit to something. Because I decided what it was worth to me. It was worth trying, it was worth doing, it was worth pursuing. The dream of pursuing a career online that could give me a good life that I can share with my loved ones, with my friends and family, and at the same time be able to help others through what I've got to say and through what I can make. Being able to reach people like me or have had similar struggles as I have that can learn the lessons that I have without having to go through as much pain, or at least feel a little less alone. I finally got to a point where that dream, those ambitions, have become more powerful than my perfectionism, than my fears of failure, and that's why I'm asking, what's it worth to you? And this isn't me saying that you shouldn't go out and have fun, and you shouldn't go out and go to parties. I do that still. But all I'm saying is I'm committing myself more to this. It's just a matter of priorities. I'm not going out unless I've made this amount of progress. I'm not saying yes to something else if I haven't said yes to myself. And sometimes what you do need is a break from all that stuff, but it's a matter of balance, which means you need to put in the work as much as you allow yourself to play. If you really want something, then make sure that you're accountable enough to not allow yourself to veer off track, and that if you do, you don't veer off track for too long. If it's any point of encouragement, personally, pursuing something that I actually deeply want to make work, I promise you it is such a fulfilling feeling to know that you're finally on the right track. That no matter how slowly you might be moving or how far your destination might be, that you are on that correct path. You're shortening that distance, and shortening that distance feels really good. It's been so fulfilling, and I've fallen in love with all of it. I feel like I'm finally beginning to get it right this time. The biggest takeaway from this is if you want something to work, if you want to be consistent, and if you want something to be a part of your life, you've got to make it a part of your life. Because eventually, if you succeed, it will be a part of your life. So if you don't make it a part of your life now, then when? If you can't be trusted with little, then how do you suppose you could be trusted with more? What can you do with what you already have now? Make the best of it and move forward. I've started, and I won't stop now. What about you? I hope this gives you a lot to think about, and more importantly, I hope this gives you a lot of points to act on. If this is something that you've always wanted to do it. Try it out. Again, if not now, when? This video was a lot, and I hope that it was worth it. If you like this video, please consider subscribing. Comment down below if you got anything to say. Leave a like if you like it, and share it to somebody that could use this video as well. If you want to share it on Instagram, tag me at @SentientPoison and @SeravinVesper. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good rest of your day. Once again, my name is Nicholas. Cheers.